Dr. Modi, welcome.
Yes, hello. Hello, everyone.
So we know you are an expert on organon, which is the book we all respect, but not many of us have ever read it. And I know you will complain about it. So please tell us about organon.
Thank you, Barbara, for having me here. And yes, my presentation was in the last. It was about organon itself. I am Dr. Sanjay Modi, for those who don't know me, and I am from Mumbai, and I have been teaching for nearly around 40 years. Now, the topic that I presented in the last Liga was organon made easy and eye-opener. And my favorite probably question that I generally ask my students is Dr. Hahnemann outdated? Because the way we have probably understood organon till now, we get an idea that probability is this, that Hahnemann has, whatever Hahnemann has written, has been, an old part of the literature. So it's something like this, where the obsolete things are there, which you can see. And the way we understand organon, we also feel that organon doesn't hold that relevance or importance as probably the modern medicine is, the way the modern medicine is going. And we generally relate to organon as theoretical foundation, history, and philosophy. This is how we generally relate to organon. It's a good book which gives you a lot of theoretical foundation, but it's more historical and it's more philosophical. Now, what happens is, because of that, students as well as practitioners feel that they have outgrown, or they have grown over the need to probably refer to organon again. And anything that is, practical generally will come from, understanding and knowing the techniques and the methods that are used in, solved cases. So all of our practical knowledge we should be now gathering from, looking into the cases that have been solved around. Now, my question is, if we have seen so many solved cases, there has been a lot of solved cases which every day, every time we keep on putting up, and we see it all over in the homeopathic literature, then we should have been more clear. There has to be more clarity that would have come into us. But has it really come from the way we have been practicing homeopathy? Because the current scenario, the way I have been seeing it in homeopathy for the last maybe 30, 35 years, I find that there is a lot of confusion. There is a lot of uncertainty. There is a lot of doubt in the minds of not only, the new entrants or into the system or the pathy, but even for those who have been there for years together. Because I have interacted with, I think, most of the homeopathic doctors who have been in the field of homeopathy for a quite long period of time. And the reason is this, that we have many ways and many methods which seem to probably reach to giving results. And we see that there are a lot of methods which we have been seeing which are giving results. So there it creates a doubt or a confusion that which to follow and what not to follow. Now, what happens is, it has become very easy to prove that the method works. We just have to show or support it with few successful cases. Now, we fail to realize that probably there will be some cherry picking that will be happening around in such type of methodologies which everybody keeps on putting across in our homeopathic field. And we fail to realize that the important aspect is not a solved case. As far as, Hahnemann is concerned also, Hahnemann says that the case had to be solved on comprehensible principles. We generally neglect on the part of the comprehensible principles. We don't see that part of it, and we just see a case and the result, and we think the method works. That's how it's been going on for a number of years now. That is because Organon happens to be the most misunderstood and the misread book of all times. One of the reasons for Organon not being read is what you very truly said, that people generally don't read it, is because there is a drawback. One of the drawback is Organon needed to be read in the correct way. Now the reason is that it is an 18th century literature which was written in a time where there were a lot of compound complex sentences. Now what I mean by compound complex sentences is it contains several clauses. Like, for instance, if you probably see, these are around 5 clauses that are listed here. Put it simply, they are 5 simple sentences. And these 5 simple sentences go on to make a mega sentence. And that is what compound complex sentences are. So the length of the sentence could go anywhere between 10 lines or even 15 lines at some cases. And this is exactly what has happened in aphorism number 50, where from mighty nature to dangerous is one single sentence. Now that makes it difficult to not only read but also comprehend, because humans, nowadays humans are getting lesser and lesser on their attention span. In fact, we are having a attention span less than that of a goldfish also. So first of all, to read all those things, then to retain, and then to comprehend is becoming a little difficult. So one part of it which I agree is this, that this was one of the drawbacks, but we have worked on this thing, and Organon has been beautifully reworked and rewritten to read something like this. So the 50 aphorism reads something like this. What you see is this, that we have converted compound complex sentences into very simple sentences. So you find that they are very simple sentences that are there. The content is very original. We have not tried to change on the content of the 6th edition of Boric. We have kept it as it is. But there is a unique presentation of different aphorisms. Like aphorism 50 reads like this, the rest of the aphorisms don't read like. There is a unique presentation that is needed, because keeping the content in mind, because content is the king, and we wanted the content to be well, understood by those who read this particular book. We highlighted the important aspects of the aphorism so that the reader gets an idea what he is referring to, or what the aphorism is talking about, or what Hahnemann is intending to talk. So in this particular thing, we also added a connect. So there was a connect between the aphorisms that got established, within the aphorisms and between the aphorisms. So in this particular way, we have seen to it that the first drawback of Organon, the way, the language is there, has been simplified in a very beautiful way. And this is actually the book that I just recently wrote, Organon Made Easy. It took me 3 years to, probably just get it into the print. I feel the way I understood Organon, and though I have been teaching Organon for a very long time, but the way I now understand Organon, I feel the fact is Organon is applied knowledge. It is very futuristic and it is very scientific. What I mean by applied knowledge is that, it contains practical solutions to real problems. And Hahnemann had been not only a missionary, but a visionary. I see a lot of what Hahnemann had written in Organon at that point of time, maybe 250 to 300 years back, still relevant in today's modern medicine books. And I tell you, it's a scientific document. Let's take an example of what I am trying to talk about. Let's relate it to an example of, Organon. Why I say it's applied knowledge, it's futuristic, and it's scientific. We all have read this aphorism, number 2. Yeah. The highest ideal of cure is rapid, gentle, permanent restoration of health. We have been knowing this aphorism very badly. If we have to, convince somebody or, tell what are the plus points about homeopathy, we generally talk about that homeopathy is gentle and it causes permanent restoration of health. We stress on these aspects of it. In fact, there are times where we have now come to, to say that we treat naturally. Homeopathy is a very natural, method of treating diseases. And generally we stress on that we generally take care of patients in a very gentle and a permanent manner. Now, my question is, did Hahnemann also have the same understanding when he wrote this aphorism too? Because when I read this aphorism too, I find that Hahnemann uses the word rapid, gentle, and permanent. And even in the next, where he talks about the superlative degree, he talks of shortest, most reliable, and most harmless. Now, Hahnemann gives precedence to rapid and shortest over gentle, permanent, over reliable, harmless. The question is, this order of cure, is it random or it's a thought out plan on the part of Hahnemann? Now, if we had one aphorism, it would be difficult to decide. But when we look to Organon, we find the evidence of this question. Because in aphorism number 25, Hahnemann again uses the word rapid, radical, permanent. In 27, he again says sure, radical, rapid, permanent. I'm not going to the aphorism in detail. Let's just, understand how scientific Hahnemann was. So he talks about sure, radical, rapid, permanent, and you can rely on me. Believe me, whatever I've written in red is there. So I have underlined it. So trust me for that particular thing, that what I am saying is just absolutely quoting Hahnemann's Organon. So aphorism number 47, he again writes of sure, rapid, permanent. So in all the aphorisms that we have seen, the rapidity holds precedence over permanency. In 51, again, he talks of gentle, rapid, permanent. Here again, we see rapid over permanent. In 53, we see sure, rapid, permanent. In aphorism number 70, we see quickly, permanently. In footnote 219, Hahnemann writes very clearly, perfectly, quickly, permanently. Now, we can have a question that what Hahnemann writes in aphorism number 2 is about the ideal of cure, that cure is like this. But he doesn't refer to probably homeopathic, medicines giving such rapid or quick results. That's why I wanted to, point out this aphorism. Because here he clearly mentions, Hahnemann clearly mentions that as pointed out above, neither man nor great nature can cure perfectly, quickly and permanently in any manner except homeopathy. So he is very sure that homeopathic cures are rapid and then gentle and permanent. In aphorism number 120, again he writes quickly and permanently. And here also he says the chosen remedy that will only give quick and permanent restoration. So Hahnemann has no doubt about saying so that, homeopathic remedies cause quick, rapid, and in the shortest possible time gives results. So here also in aphorism 143, he talks of sure, radical, rapid, permanent. Further, he also writes of rapid, certain, permanent. So the question that comes to my mind and probably should come to anyone's mind, why would Hahnemann give precedence to rapidity over gentle, permanent? Now that's where Hahnemann's wisdom comes into play. So Hahnemann's wisdom knew that humans by nature are impatient. And currently we are having the most impatient human species on planet Earth. If you can probably see, everyone wants instant tea, instant coffee, instant success, instant money. Even the Wi-Fi speed has gone from 2G to 5G. So why the cure should not be fast? Why should the cure not be? Because patients would only demand a certain fast relief too, and patient needs to have that particular thing. At the least amount of time, money is suffering on the part of the patient. That is what Hahnemann's intention was. So he stressed on rapidity again and again. Hahnemann wisdom also knew one thing, which we fail to understand somewhere, is this, that a system would be popular only if it is able to give rapid results over gentle and permanent also. Hahnemann somewhere understood that the hierarchy of rapidity is very important even at that particular point of time. Because the way we see allopathy, we all know that, there are a lot of side effects. So it's harmful. It's not gentle. We see that, allopathic medicines have to be continued for a very longer period of time. Sometimes they need to take 8, 10 tablets together or capsules together, but they don't give so permanent relief to the patient. We also know that, it suppresses. In spite of that, why would a patient or most of the patients choose allopathy over any other system which is gentle and permanent? That is because Hahnemann understood and realized that rapidity is a win-win situation, not only for the patient, but for the physician as well as for the system. And rapidity is that success formula which Hahnemann wanted us also to probably pursue. And we have somewhere not able to pursue. And that is why the results which we see about patients not coming to homeopathy, I feel one of the main reasons is rapidity, and which Hahnemann at that point of time was definitely aware about it. Because in Hahnemann, in Materia Medica Pura, preamble very clearly writes that many persons have repeatedly begged me to publish. We still want to know what to do. See, Hahnemann has answered here. Hahnemann says that there are more directions that people want me to give on this doctrine and of how to apply it in practice. And he says, I am astonished that after the very particular directions contained in the organon of medicine, more special instructions can be wished for. So for Hahnemann, whatever it takes to do a good homeopathic practice is all available in organon. Problem is that we have not been able to understand or decipher Hahnemann clearly, and that has resulted into a lot of confusion and conflict. And that is why not only the entrant, but the one who has been practicing for a very long time also, many years also has a doubt in his mind that whether things are going right or wrong. So there are symptoms I talk about that, if you whether you know organon or not, the symptom is if you have a strong homeopathic foundation, you have the right sense of direction and purpose. You are an empowered physician, because organon empowers the physician for what? Problem solving, decision making, and becoming a true physician, in the sense which Hahnemann has listed a lot of criteria for how to be a true physician. And it helps you achieve rapid and certain cures. Now, certain is one other aspect of it which I have not talked about it, but I can talk about it a little later, maybe some other time, because surety is one aspect which Hahnemann stresses time and again. So more than rapidity also, it's the surety that is where Hahnemann is talking about, that it is possible in homeopathic remedies. So there are, my dictum is no organon, no homeopathy. If you know it very well, you have known homeopathy well. So what are the symptoms of not knowing organon? Becoming overconfident. This is known as the Dunning-Kruger's effect, where, we also talk that half knowledge is very dangerous. Why? It's because, we go overboard. Every time I see a lot of students taking homeopathic cases and they say, oh, we can do everything. We don't understand where we have to set up a limit or a boundary. We become vulnerable to misinformation and scams. And there is going to be a disillusionment, disappointment, or doubt. So no organon, no organon, no homeopathy. And, I have been always talking about that for a particular time, because there are questions that people ask me, can organon be replaced? I think this picture speaks words for it, that, it's one of the wonders in medical field. It cannot be replicated. And to sum up, I feel we have got lost because we have not been able to decipher Hahnemann clearly. And that is why we have a lot of ways and methods to probably go about. The only thing is, what I request is that if we have to leave a legacy for the future generation, which empowers them and gives them a pride to do that practice, then the need is we need to collaborate. Because what I have talked to you, believe me, in organon, is just a tip of an iceberg. Hahnemann's wisdom, I can vouch for it, is timeless. I see a lot of reflections in modern medicine books, whether you talk of physiology, anatomy, pathology, medicine books, I find a lot of reflections. And I know that even in futuristic medicine books, Hahnemann's concept will be reflected. I'm very clear about that particular thing. So thank you for having me here again, back again, and giving me a time to share what I have to share. If there are any questions that you have, you can please put it across. Until then, happy discovering.
Okay, Dr. Modi, you are a co-host, so you can manage the question. If there are any questions from audience, please feel free.
There are any questions, definitely. I would.
People are writing in the chat. So.
So I need to open up my chat box. Yeah, for long-term chronic diseases, seated conditions, can those have rapid curing? Rapidity has not to do with chronic or acute. See, the way Hahnemann is talking about it, Hahnemann has never given this, distinction. He has given understanding of a chronic disease and an acute disease only to help a physician, for the prognosis. Otherwise, for the treatment part of it, I have lot of chronic cases which have, given, at least at my end, I have been giving fantastic fast results, and people call me magic doctor. My patients generally call me magic doctor. I know of cases where, I can put up cases where probably patient is having SSP, that is subacute sclerosing panencephalitis, who was with allopathic treatment, not improving, started with homeopathic treatment, and in around 10 days time, we could see a change and a difference in his total demeanor. So it has nothing to do with acute or chronic. From my perspective, and I think from Hahnemann's perspective, the type of disease is not the issue. It's how we go about doing it. That is what is there. So even in chronic, we can give fast results. Yeah. Any more questions, please?
I can see.
Yeah.
Okay, Dr. Modi, I have never ever thought I would be interested in Organon, but now I'm sure I need a right tutor.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, exactly. We need to understand one thing, that this type of a literature, which at least I have been using it for a very long time, and I can vouch for it, that let's put one of the things which you are talking of. Hahnemann also stresses on one other aspect, which is talking about surety and certainty. Is this that, there is a uniformity in getting the results. Everyone should uniformly get the same results which I am getting, which somebody else is getting, in the equal proportion. So Hahnemann's, system is very well methodically, if you follow the system methodically, you will reach to that.
I understand you promise this is not the end of our.
Not an end. Yes, certainly yes. If the need be, I'm willing to definitely come across and share what I have learned, what I have understood, and how it's going to make a difference. It is a journey which is, I feel, magical. Going into this journey is really magical.
If there are any more questions, we can leave it to after we finish all the
after. Sure.
presentation. And now, Dr. V, please help me.
Yeah.